something happened deep inside Russia that has set off alarm bells for the Kremlin. Because Ukraine is no longer just targeting Russian oil depots or fuel storage facilities. Now, Ukraine is directly targeting Russia's defense industrial base. Explosives are produced. Missiles are assembled. Drones are manufactured. And Russian military technology is developed. Are now coming under wave after wave of Ukrainian drone strikes. And the most dangerous part? These attacks are no longer happening only near the border. Some Ukrainian strikes are now reaching more than 1,400 kilometers inside Russian territory. Which means Ukraine is no longer fighting only a defensive war. It is now trying to destroy Russia's war machine from the inside. Recently, Ukraine launched a major strike against one of Russia's most important explosives production centers. The attack targeted the Sverdlov explosives plant in Dzerzhinsk. This was not an ordinary factory. It is considered one of Russia's most critical explosive manufacturing facilities. The plant produces TNT, RDX, and HMX high explosives. These materials are used in artillery shells, missiles, bombs, and landmines. According to reports, 2 Ukrainian Lutyai drones struck separate workshops inside the facility. What makes this strike especially significant is that the plant was protected by 3 Panzer air defense systems. Yet all Ukrainian drones still managed to reach their targets. Why? Because the drones were flying at extremely low altitude to avoid Russian radar detection. This was not just another explosion. It was a direct attack on Russia's military supply chain. In the past, Ukraine mainly targeted oil depots, fuel storage sites, and energy infrastructure. But now the strategy has changed. Ukraine appears to understand that if it wants to weaken Russia's military power, it must destroy the factories that keep Russia's war machine running. Factories that produce explosives, chemicals, electronics, drones, and military components. As part of this campaign, Ukraine also targeted the Apatit chemical plant in Cherepavets. Ukrainian drones reportedly struck a high-pressure sulfuric acid pipeline, damaging the ammonia production system. Later, another strike caused fires in 2 major production units of the plant. Why is this important? Because ammonia is one of the core materials used in conventional explosives, meaning artillery shells, missiles, and bombs. All depend on this industrial supply chain. And this plant alone accounted for nearly 10% of Russia's ammonia production. But this was not the only target. Ukraine also struck the Fosagro facility, one of Russia's largest fertilizer and chemical producers. The facility has an annual production capacity of more than 8 million tons. And it also contributes a major share of Russia's ammonia production. In simple terms, Ukraine is no longer carrying out random drone attacks. It is systematically targeting Russia's industrial backbone. One by one, the factories that sustain Russia's military industry are coming under attack. But what happened next may be even more shocking. Ukraine targeted a petrochemical plant located nearly 1,400 kilometers away from Ukrainian territory. The strike took place in Sterlitamok. This facility produces aviation fuel, kerosene additives, and synthetic rubber. And most importantly, it accounts for nearly 25% of Russia's isoprene rubber production. Why does that matter? Because this rubber is heavily used in Russian tanks, heavy military vehicles, and tracked combat systems. Which means Ukraine is no longer just targeting weapons. It is targeting Russia's military mobility itself. Ukraine then shifted its attention toward Russia's advanced military electronics industry. A major strike targeted the Nayar Progress plant in Cheboksary. The operation reportedly involved Lutyai drones, alongside a Flamingo cruise missile. First, the drones overwhelmed Russian air defenses. Then the cruise missile successfully reached the target. This factory was extremely important, because it manufactured components designed to protect Russian weapons from electronic warfare. These systems are used in glide bombs, cruise missiles, and Shahid drones. Which means Ukraine is not only trying to destroy Russian weapons, it is also trying to cripple the guidance systems behind them. After that, Ukraine targeted Russia's drone production facilities. A strike hit the Atlant aerodrone plant in Taganrog using Neptune missiles. Following the attack, massive explosions, large fires, and severe structural destruction were observed. The facility was involved in producing Molniya drones, Orion reconnaissance drones, and various UAV systems. In the same city, another UAV production site and the Beriv aircraft plant were also struck. This plant specializes in amphibious aircraft, AWACS systems, and modernization work for Tu-95 strategic bombers, which means Ukraine is no longer targeting only drones. It is now striking Russia's strategic aviation infrastructure as well. All of these attacks are sending one clear message. Ukraine is no longer fighting only to defend territory. It is trying to dismantle Russia's entire war machine from within. Explosives factories, chemical plants, electronic centers, drone facilities, and aircraft modernization hubs are all being targeted one after another. And if these strikes continue at the same pace, Russia may soon become more concerned about protecting its military industry than fighting on the battlefield.